It's your boy Yule.
I'm Margaret. This is Can We Talk About It?
And today we have a special episode for you guys.
We are interviewing Jacqueline Carter, the inventor of the No Reach pouch. We talked about the pouch a few weeks ago on the show. It was designed in the hopes of preventing police shootings. And today we're going to talk with the creator.
Yeah, Jacqueline. And she's here with us today. How you doing?
Call me Jackie, please.
Oh, Jackie.
Jackie.
Okay, she said Jackie. All right,
Not
cool.
so official.
Yeah, we're friends like that now.
Yeah.
So we How you doing, Jackie?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right.
Good, thank you.
Perfect. We're just gonna ask you some questions about the pouch. So, because I know we did an episode previously on it, and you saw it, and you said I would like to get on the show and actually talk about it. So, this is a perfect opportunity for us to have that conversation.
Yeah.
All right. So
I found out that it went kind of world star like, and there were so many interview articles and things that were done, but no one had ever talked to me except for one person, and I was like, wow, I would really like to talk about it a little bit more if I ever get a chance. So I thank you guys for letting me do that.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate
We appreciate you being here with us.
Yes. So just to start off, tell us a little bit about your background and, have you ever invented anything else or come up with something like this, or do you have any background in social justice in general?
Well, I do. I have 2 master's degrees, one in legal studies. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice. And I kind of did that a little later in life, so tried to switch careers, which didn't work that well. So for all you older people out there, don't try to switch careers. It doesn't work.
So stick to what you know.
They tell you that so you can go back to school and get a lot of debt. However, it's not that easy. However, I ended up moving to D.C., the D.C. area, to become a court reporter. So I was a grand jury court reporter in D.C. and Virginia. So when you hear grand jury on the news, that's what I did. So I was that person sitting in there listening to all the felony cases in D.C., which to me was quite a shock because I always saw the beauty of DC until I started hearing the felony cases on a daily basis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I got a chance to, unfortunately hear about all the murders, the homicides, the drugs, the guns, the sexual assaults, but I also heard a lot about traffic stops. And that kind of really put me in the realm of what I had already invented and knew that I was on the right track. So that's kind of my background when it comes to that kind of thing. But it really just happened for me when I just kept hearing all these stories in social media and on the news about traffic stops. And then with the one with Philando was the one that really just made me say, we got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so was that the main one? Because we were going to ask you what really inspired you creating this pouch, and Philando seemed like a huge part of it.
Yeah, if there was like a particular inciting incident or just the general epidemic.
It was probably the one that kind of was like the icing on the cake for me. We had heard a lot, but his in particular was a case where he did nothing wrong during that traffic stop. I mean, not saying that other people did things wrong, but for him, you cannot find any fault in what he did. He was cooperative. He actually told the officer that he had a license to carry. And what he did that was fatal was he went to reach. And that's when, I said to my husband, I was like, no, you know what? I know, I'm just Jackie Carter, but, somebody has to come up with a solution because everybody kept talking about the problem. And there's profit in problems. You can sit there and talk about a problem all day and, keep your ratings up and this, that, and the other, but nobody's coming up with a solution. So that's where Not Reaching came in.
All right.
Okay.
That's great. We actually looked through a lot of stuff you have, and you had some other pouches also. So can we talk about the other ones that you provide?
Sure. As a result of, all the publicity, I started getting a lot of emails and phone calls from people saying, hey, can you put this on the pouch? Can you put that on the pouch? And I was like, not really sure if I want to do that. But what really came about was the fact that there are people out there that really want the police officer to know from the jump that this is my issue, so don't bother me.
Yeah.
So we have the pouch that says, I'm going to try to hold them up. I'm on my phone, so I'm not really sure. This one says, Officer, I'm deaf.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I can see how that would be massively helpful.
Yeah, that's funny because that's not something you would even think of.
Yeah. This one is the real good one, the medical marijuana license.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. That's a big seller, which I was pretty shocked. And this one is the autistic. I'm autistic.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also very important to have.
And I also have one, and I don't know where I did with it. I think I put it somewhere, but I have one that says I'm licensed to carry a firearm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the one to me. I actually dedicate that one to Philando because of that.
Yeah.
You know, his breaching. That's what happened. So.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously we completely understand the need for the pouch and like what it provides. But we were curious about what you thought of the argument that it shouldn't be the responsibility of the victims to prevent themselves from being shot. It's like the onus should be on the police. It's like the same argument people make about like rape cases where like we'll tell women to avoid certain things, but like it shouldn't be like on them. So what would your response be to that?
My response is you have to put on a seatbelt because you don't want to go through a window. You have to stop at a stoplight. There's just some things that you have to do. We shouldn't have to. I totally agree with you. It wasn't one of those products where I came up and said, oh my God, I'm so happy I came up with this. Not at all. It was, painfully tough for me to come up with something like that. But until we can do what we need to do in law enforcement, we have to have a solution until we get there. And we're not going to get into the law enforcement solutions anytime soon because all of them aren't uniformed. You know what I mean? So you might have a great police department over here that understands, the issues that we go through as people of color and are addressing those. But you may have this other department over here that says, no, we don't have a problem. It's them. So I look at that, and I get a lot of that. Why should we? Well, we shouldn't have to, but we do. We're in a terrible time right now where these things are coming up, and our president isn't making this any easier either. So race is at the forefront, and we do. Let's be honest and talk about the fact that what I am afraid at traffic stops. It's an inherent fear that we have. Some people say, well, that's not fair. Well, we have history that says we do have fear, right? My son, one of the things that happened even before Philando, our son was in the military and he was driving from Wichita Falls, Texas to Dallas on a back road, him and 4 other Navy buddies, dark, nighttime. And he calls and says, Mom, the police just stopped us. And, my heart just sank because you have 4 black guys in a car on a back road, Wichita Falls, Texas. Nothing against Wichita Falls. You can see the scenario in your mind, right? So I said to him, you know what? Hang up the phone, put the phone down, put your hands up, say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Call me as soon as this is over. That was the longest 10, 15 minutes of my life because in my mind I could see one of the kids saying something that shouldn't be said, somebody moving, you never knew. But thankfully he was safe. But I have more fear with him here in the States than I did when he was in Afghanistan. And that's a true statement.
Wow. Yeah.
He was a medic in Afghanistan. He was on the front line, so why is it that every night I'm afraid I might get a phone call? He's a young black man. He lives in Brooklyn. He's a photographer. He has a BMW. He's that dude and he also suffers from PTSD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how his day might be and how he might flip, but he has a not reaching pouch, so hopefully it'll help. So, and he's been, we've reinforced what he has to do, but it doesn't make me feel any better that as a young black man with driving in a nice car and, liking his music loud, that he shouldn't have the right to just drive like everyone else and not be stopped and harassed.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. All right. So speaking that and on this topic of police still, do you feel or do you have any ideas or let's say one idea that you would implement in police training for them to pretty much better their stopping techniques or pretty much improve their stopping techniques?
Well, actually, out of Not Reaching we created a nonprofit organization called the Alliance for Safe Traffic Stops. So what we call it ASTS for short. So what ASTS does, it provides training and education awareness to eliminate physical harm and, just de-escalate traffic stops. So we have a training module that we actually work with the police department and ASTS to provide training to communities on the proper procedures for traffic stops. Because my husband said something one day and I thought, it was pretty brilliant, never thought about it. He said, we're taught how to drive a car and do all that stuff, but we're not taught how to react during traffic stops. And that's true. We're just saying, get behind this, couple 1,000-pound car and drive it, but there's other things that you have to be aware of. So that training is very important. And I think what happens when you train both officers and the community at the same time, it bridges a gap. That occurs because the community doesn't trust the police, and the police, have this persona that they're all bad, which they are not. And you're doing the training, the dual training, not separate, but together. I think actually really makes more sense.
I think it makes all of the sense.
Yeah, 100%.
You got all the answers today.
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing this for a minute. I've actually. We've been doing this since 2017. It's just kind of hits on, in pockets and phases. In beginning of May, we got such great publicity from that NBC article and then CNN. And, so we got great publicity and it just soared and then it dies. So, we go through ebbs and flows with this and, we're fully aware and we haven't even hit the surface of, the United States with this, and not even just the United States. There's other countries that have the same issues. So, I'm always ready to talk about it because I think, the best thing to do is have a dialogue about it, instead of saying, oh, no, this doesn't happen. I have people say, oh, this doesn't really happen. What? Where are you living?
Yeah.
In your world, it doesn't happen. But we have, we come from, even though we're in the same country, we come from different worlds and sides of the street. So let's just, call it what it is. Right now it's an inherent racism that is occurring in this country, and as a part of that is what happens during traffic stops, which is a small part, but it's still a part nonetheless. You as a black man should get in your car and not have a problem. No, you shouldn't have a not reaching pouch. But guess what? Have it anyway.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I agree with everybody. No, you shouldn't. You gotta be kidding. Why would you need this? Well, guess what? We need this. And guess what? Philando's mother said if he had that pouch, maybe he would be alive today.
100%.
That's a strong statement from a mother who lost her son because of murder during a traffic stop.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, going forward, what would be your ultimate goal in regards to the No Reach pouch? And do you have any other ideas of things that you would want to invent in this same vein?
I do.
If you don't want to share yet, you can keep them on the wraps. But
I would like to say that I would like to see this given to people who buy a car. Like, people buy a car, spend thousands and thousands of dollars, and they say buy and keep it moving. But how about say, you know what? I want to give you something to keep you safe. So I've reached out to Kia. I actually created a campaign called Kia Cares Beyond the Purchase, and pitched it to them, and they were like, no, thank you. I'm like, what?
we don't care beyond the purchase. Get out.
We don't care beyond the purchase. But how about one car, manufacturer says, you know what, we really do. That would make a difference. I would like to see it when you go to the DMV and get your license. Give it to them then. I mean, there's so many.
And then, the thing is, like you said, you can have it. Even if they give it to them, they don't want to use it necessarily. It's okay to have and just. Yeah,
it's okay to have. It's not, and we also even have I'll see it. This is the wallet version.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Sleek leather wallet. My son actually created that one. It's more expensive, like $24.99, and I didn't introduce that one because I knew most people wouldn't be able to. The people I knew needed it wouldn't be able to afford it.
Gotcha.
So,
sorry.
Actually,
what are the prices for what you sell?
Excuse Excuse me?
What is the pricing?
Oh, okay. The wallet is $24.99 and the not reaching pouch is $9.99.
Okay.
And our ultimate goal is with the Alliance for Safe Traffic Stops that we'll get enough funding that every time we do a training session, we'll be giving them out.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
what that has always been my goal. But because I'm not independently wealthy, I had to sell them. So but my ultimate goal, I've given away more than I've sold actually.
Yeah.
I used to leave work, and if I was going down the street and I saw somebody with tinted windows and they were half down, I'd go up to the car and say, "Hey, you need this not reaching pouch."
Yeah.
Because there's a stereotype, and there that police look for. If you have tinted windows, you wear dreads.
Mm-hmm.
This is true. I'm telling you because I was in court. You fit the profile of who they're looking for. You're a young black man with dreads and tinted windows. You will be stopped. Period.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem in itself. But until we get to the deeper root of that, this is a good temporary solution.
Yeah, and it's going to take. Okay, here we are. I'm 55 years old in 2019, and we are
55?
nowhere near being where we should. Yeah, I know, right?
No,
I don't
good.
know my.
Yeah.
I worked hard for this age, so but we're nowhere near being where we should be when it comes to race in America. Actually, we're actually going backwards. They're taking away our liberties and our freedoms, and it doesn't look good. I think now I have more fear than I did years ago.
Mm.
That's a terrible statement. I'm actually very fearful for my granddaughter. I'm fearful for all of you because I have an expiration date. It's quicker than yours, and I know that what's being left behind is just not great. It's not, and for me, it's about leaving a legacy to say, at least she tried.
Yeah.
She tried something. To help you, and anyone else, So that's what not reaching is for me.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. I think that's all of our questions.
Yeah. If you want to add anything else before we let you go.
No, I just, like I said, you can go to notreaching.com. Everything is Not Reaching on social media, Not Reaching everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the Alliance for Safe Traffic Stops, and there are great people out there really coming up with solutions. I'm working with a lady who created a drone that when the police pull your car over, they deploy the drone. It goes around your car to see if you have weapons.
Wow. Okay.
That's, I have someone else that we're working with that has an app for when you're stopped by the cops, and it records, and it's a lot of things out there that people are doing. Mm-hmm. And the Alliance for Safe Traffic Stops is a website where it's a member organization where anybody who still has a solution is a part of the organization, because the problem is everybody has these great things that they're doing, but no one can find them. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to have a one-stop shop. And I think, I don't even care if somebody has something similar to my pouch. If it's your solution, let's put it on there. We got enough cars out here. I'm not greedy.
Yeah.
But if it's a solution and if it can save, you can tell me you got pulled over and the cop said, "Hey, I never saw this. This is great. Keep going." Then guess what? You were saved that day. And I've heard that story from so many people that it's actually unnerving to the police officer because he's like, "Wait a minute, I was ready for you to start reaching."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So guess what? We're taking that element off the table. So the question now is, what's your excuse now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
So,
good question.
if not reaching doesn't do anything else, it takes that excuse away that's
Right.
been used for decades.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have, but thank you.
Thank you so
Jackie.
much.
We appreciate you. Thank
Yeah,
you for having
so
this
nice.
conversation with us.
And thank you for everything you're doing.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks again. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Peace. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. If you want more information about the No Reaching Pouch, you can look in our description to find all the links to everything Jackie talked about with us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and catch you next time.
Okay.